Good evening, Living Waters. This is our video for the third of 5 installments of our Lent series. This is for our passions. We'll be going over the RIASEC tool. And we'll also have a brief service. But I know I've learned in doing these videos now that it lags about 20 seconds or so. So I should give you time to get on here before we start because, anyway, so learning is good. And that's part of our discernment as well. While people are getting gathered, the RIASEC, for those who are wondering what is he talking about, this is this tool. It's available in attachment on Realm as well as Facebook. And what you should have out of this tool is a 3-letter code, 3 letters. And what we're going to do, so obviously the service we have been doing the first 2 Wednesdays is not 100% conducive to what we are doing on Facebook Live now. Life comes at you fast. So we're going to kind of roll with it. So I've changed the service around a little bit, but we're still going to have scripture to ground us. We'll talk about the tool. We'll still have prayer and a blessing for this journey as well. So bear with me as I'm jumping around all the different things. Okay. Use that over there now. Okay. All right. So I think it's been enough time. I will start with tonight's reading, which is from the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, starting with verse 1. Therefore, the prisoner in the Lord, I beg you to live a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, making every effort to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in all. But each of us was given grace according to the measure of Christ's gift. Therefore it is said, when he ascended on high, he made captivity itself a captive. He gave gifts to his people. When it says he ascended, what does it mean? But also that he had descended to the lowest parts of the earth. He who descended is the same one who ascended far above all heavens, so that he might fill all things. The gifts he gave were that some would be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers, to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for the building up of the body of Christ, until all come to the unity of faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to maturity, to the measure of full stature in Christ. All right. So, this passage is reminding us that tonight's topic is our passions, our life callings. What are the things that God has given to us to enjoy, to find fulfillment with, that speaks to us, how we interact best with God and with the world. And it'll link to what we've talked about already with the MBTI and how we were created. This is a continuation of that discernment. So this text, it talks about the body of Christ is made up of what? Different people. We need all different kinds of people. And it has the list of all these different passions. But there is one faith, there is one Lord, and there is one baptism. These are all instilled by the one God who is Father to us all, right? This is the image that we have, that God, the same God that we are all made in the image of, God is all of these passions reflected. Now, this will help us understand tonight that the things that we care deeply about come directly from our God. And there's real power in that, and I want you to understand that. Now, for tonight, as always, with the makeup session and going forward with these Lenten services, during the discussion time, if you have questions, please put them in the comment section. And I will answer them on the fly when I see them. Like I said, I might be in the middle of we won't say a tangent, of course I'll always stay on topic, but discussion, and I might come back to it, but I will answer all questions. And of course you have feedback too. and commentary, etc. All is welcome. This is, again, even though we are not in person anymore, this is still an informal worship space that is best used for however you see fit, however you discern best. So let's go through the RIASEC. I hope that this one made sense. It's the simplest of the three tools, so hopefully it did. It's how to take it. Now, I say that it's the easiest to take, but it's probably the hardest to understand. So you're going to have to bear with me on this one. But remember, our guideline from last week, the tool is not God, Jesus Christ is God, okay? So we might be going through this, and hey, Doug, we might be going through this, and you realize that maybe some of your results aren't exactly matching up with what you feel is who you are, which is good. That means that you're discerning who you are. The test is not perfect. It might not get it right. So here we go. There are 6 letters that can come up in this for your 3-letter code. So there's R, I, A, S, E, and C. Hey, Linda. And your 3-letter code is your top 3. So you can score anywhere from 0 to 7 in each of these letters. So the ones that were the top 3 would be your 3 letters. Now, what order they go in now? So I told you last week that mine was, hey Becky, was E-S-I. So for me, my E and my S actually tied with a 7. Hello, Admins. And my I was a 6. So 776. So the I was 3rd because it's the least of those 3. The E and the S were the same. And so I had to discern which between E and S was more me. So you might come to this going, I have 3 that are the same. I have 2 that are a tie. That's okay. We're going to discern that together. So let's go through each letter. And again, if you have questions, I will try to answer them as I see them. I have lots of note pages for this one. So, all right. R. Let's start with R. So those are, R stands for realistic. Realistic folks. They like to work with tools, machines. A lot of R's like to work with their hands. They work with mechanical things, electrical, plants, gardens. It's funny, my car mechanic that I went to a lot when I was in Gettysburg, unfortunately I had to go a lot. Yay, my car. Anyway, he was really gifted. He's a really gifted mechanic. Did a great job with the car. Really nice guy. But I saw him in town, actually, at a gardening expo. I don't know what it was called, but anyway, and he was there. I it was one of those, like, you know, you see someone when you see him in another setting and you see him in a new one, you're like, oh wait, that's Mike. Anyway, and Mike was a gifted mechanic, but he was doing stuff for his home garden. And I ran to him and I go, hey, Mike, the mechanic. And he was showing me how he's really into growing plants and tending his garden, beautiful flower gardens, right? And it made sense to me. When I think of ours, I think of Mike. Because Mike likes, like I said, his job. He likes tools and stuff, but gardening's kind of the same kind of passions. You're still working on things, tinkering with things, using your hands. You value practical things that you can see, you can touch. This is what the R's are all about. R's see themselves as practical, mechanical, and realistic. They dwell on the here and now. The R's, if we're working with our Myers-Briggs, our R's are going to correlate well with people who have the S and that 4 type for Myers-Briggs. S's especially correlate with that. Remember, the here and now, the little facts that add up, those are S's, correlates well with R. We'll get into, so the way this works, I should have said this at first, I'm sorry. Each of the types have like an opposite type, which you can simultaneously be opposite types. That's what makes this kind of fun. But, so that's for you to discern where you are on that. So, R and S are opposite. E and I are opposite, again, and A and C are opposite. So what that also tells you is people who are strong, say you have someone who's strong R, if they're working with someone who's a strong S, that's great. You can complement each other. You have different passions that can work well together, so you're covering each other's blind spots, so to speak, but you might not always communicate the same way. So let's keep that in mind. Let's keep going. This will sort of hopefully come into focus as we keep going. I is investigative. So I's are people who like to study and specifically love math and science. They like to solve problems. They like learning, understanding. They value science. They see themselves as practical or precise, scientific, intellectual. This, not surprisingly, with the Myers-Briggs correlates most with T, thinking, but also correlates quite a bit with N, because again, N, big picture thinkers, solutions, not necessarily the small details. I's do a little bit of both, but they're leaning a little more towards N. They, I think of I's, a good example. I can't read my handwriting. Oh, yes. So the person that I know, he really enjoys science. And a situation like we are in right now, unfortunately, the pandemic, he would want to be working on how to solve this, right? Being in the lab and such. But in his free time, again, your passions kind of translate. Even if you don't necessarily do that for a job, they can often show a lot of the same characteristics. This I person, the best way they find themselves relaxing is learning, listening to TED Talks, doing community classes, guest lectures that are in town. They love that kind of stuff. They eat that up. So yeah, the I's, they're your like I said, they're your problem solvers. You're very focused on the cerebral left side of the brain kind of folk. Okay, now for A, artistic, which is not the opposite of I, believe it or not. Artistic folk like to create art, shocker, drama, music, creative writing. They like expressing themselves in different ways. It's really cool when you see, at least for me, when I see people who have the artistic passions in a job or a role, whether it's, maybe at a church, where that doesn't necessarily have had that in a long time, because usually our artistic folks are ones that are bringing new ideas and out of the box perspectives. They are, like I said, the creative, expressive types. They're very independent. They're original. This is how they see themselves. I had someone in a previous place where I was serving that was a strong artistic type, and confession, art, I got a 1 out of 7. Okay, so I'm very low on art. And this person was a godsend for me because they would see the liturgy of the church and be able to open it up in new and exciting ways. In ways I just didn't really conceive of. And I was like, this is awesome. Once it was there, I was like, this is great. But artistic people are able to a lot of the times are able to take what we have and make it in a different presentation, a bigger picture. And so this correlates with Myers-Briggs again, a lot with N's and F's a lot of the times. Big picture, expression, emotion, feelings, etc. So that also makes sense. All right, halfway home on these letters. I'm hoping that I'm hitting on some of these and it's starting to make sense. S is social. So social types like people. They like to help people, especially from professions. They like ones that interact with people constantly, but not necessarily big groups. I mean, that's an introvert extrovert thing, but teaching, nursing, providing information, counseling. Thank you, Stephanie. Then it's like I said, not necessarily larger groups. But again, it's still working with people. You can be an introvert and still be social. Okay. Yeah, Stephanie. Do you want to say hello to the people?
Hi.
Anyway, I lost my spot. There we go. Sorry. So now you're good. S's find fulfillment in helping people and solving social problems. That's a key, social problems. Remember, our I's, right? Our I's were into solving analytical problems. Social, or the S's are into solving social problems, people problems. Social types see themselves as helpful, friendly, and trustworthy. I would maybe add bubbly sometimes too. But so we're getting to our opposite types now. S is on the opposite side of R. R likes things they can see, hands-on. The projects was our first type, right? My mechanic. Whereas social, they don't really care for machines and objects. They rather work with people. The person, I think of an S, the person that I know who really falls in that category, they like to entertain a lot, even in their off time. They love being around people. They really like giving helpful tips. You know, say if you had someone, if they had someone move into the neighborhood. Actually, this person's sort of an HOA for their neighborhood. So there you go, right there. They want to be involved with people around them. But when someone would move in, they'd be the first one over there to introduce themselves, give them tips about the area. Again, giving information, being help, etc., etc. And S correlates most strongly from Myers-Briggs with the F, feeling. And again, that makes sense. You're socially attuned to people. So, all right, let's do E. So E's are enterprising. Enterprisings like to lead and persuade people. That's a big thing to them. We'll get to that in a second. They like to sell things and ideas. They are good at leading. They value, well, like I said, leadership, business. Often politicians fall into E as well. Some pastors. They see themselves as energetic, ambitious, sociable. They're more. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. They see new structures and make them new. I can't think of the word right now off the top of my head. Of course, innovative. Thank you. Innovative. That's what stuff's here for. Innovative. Yes, and this correlates actually strongly most with E from the Myers-Briggs type. I'm an E. I know someone else who is an E who's actually a good friend of mine, and the giveaway is when we get together and maybe have a Guinness on St. Patrick's Day, for example. Man, he wants to debate. We like debating, and we have conversations that. It's not, it's all good fun. It's not offensive or anything, but like we like to debate points. We like to, argue stats for sports. You go through making points and persuading and stuff, and that is just so fulfilling in our off time. Yes, we're very passionate about that kind of conversation style, which some styles might find to be driven nuts. But anyway, that's an example of the E, passions kind of at work. That's just, like I said, that kind of work we find fun. But the opposite for E now is the I. So E's like that persuasion and selling things, but they don't like the careful observation and scientific stuff, which I's do. So you can see there's kind of an opposite there. I actually have both in mind, so that'll be a good example of, okay, I have E and I in mind. What's the discernment there of what in that spectrum between the two that I do like, that are parts of the way God has created me, and what parts I'm like, no, that is not me. That is not me, but this is me. So, all right. And finally, C. C is for not cookie tonight, but conventional. Thank you. Anyway, I can't hear everyone laugh at my jokes. Anyway, I'm just going to assume everyone's laughing. They're hilarious. Conventional. So these are folks that like detail, numbers, records, machines, spreadsheets. They like set, ordered ways. They like written and systematic records. They value success in business. They see themselves as orderly. They're good at setting a plan. Unsurprisingly, this correlates very strongly with J from the Myers-Briggs. It also correlates strongly with S. Again, the little pieces that add up to something. They value very much those strong pieces. So our C's are opposite with A. So our artistic types that are expressive, they don't really like the nitty-gritty. Our C's are all about the nitty-gritty and don't the creative outside the box. It's not their favorite way of being. Again, now I should back up. Now I've gone through all these. Just because you say, like with me, I scored low on artistic, that does not mean I cannot be expressive or creative. It's just not my defaults. It's not my way of doing it naturally that I'm really fired up about. Now that we've gone through all. Oh wait, I do have to say my. Oh no! Go away. Okay, we're back. Sorry, it was freaking out. We're good. I thought the internet's gonna lose. Rhiannon, I am an A and a C. Okay, so right, and I am also a. What was the two I was? E and an I. Opposites can happen. It's a good question, Rhiannon. Opposites can happen, but when you do have that kind of case, you want to be able to. Then look at what are the things about C for you in your case that are like me, and what are the things that are A that are like me. Opposites, because there are 6 types, it's likely you will have a pair of opposites. It's actually more rare if you don't. So, like with A and C, is it that you like being expressive in details? Or do you like being detailed in your expression? Probably one way to look at it. What's that combo there? Again, and all 3 together will kind of give you a bigger picture, which we'll get to in a little bit. And all 3 have health service. Yes, so it sounds like you're in the right field, Linda. I hope in that case then, if as an SCI and in being in the health service field, that you are fulfilled in that. That's what we're going for. Ideally, the codes will show us what it is, or the things that we will be passionate about. Let's see. I cannot read my own handwriting. What is that word? Tan? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, tax guy. That's it. C. So my example of C. That was it. My tax guy is my example of C. That he is. My tax guy is very detail oriented. Thank God, because I am not. And this. He's a very nice guy. I love him. And he's very detail oriented. He, being more E and S combo, right? Of course, I always get to talking to him. I'm sure he loves that during tax season. And, he talks about how he's already planned out his vacations for all the year. It's just crazy to me. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing next week. Anyway, and yeah, in his free time, he likes doing tech and really specific fact gathering things. And I'm like, you go, man. Like that is just how God made him, and that's awesome. So, okay, both that make sense, and great, awesome, good. All right. So as we discussed last week, these tools are helping us see into how God has created us. So I'm hoping seeing these types will start the conversation of thinking, okay, these are some general characteristics, 3 characteristics generally that that'll help me think, okay, how am I? Say if I'm artistic, how am I artistic? Or how am I social? Or how am I, what aspects of each of these do I like and don't like? And don't worry, I will be sending out more information on each of these types as well. As well as sending out a link to a database where you can just type in, and a bunch of jobs for each type that is recommended for you will come up. So don't worry. So you don't have to take, super duper detailed notes, because I'll be sending you goodies. This part we would have small group time. Doesn't really work here. For instance, yeah, that is that. Having talked to Frank, that is definitely Frank, which is awesome. Oh yeah, thank you, Linda. That was a great point. If you're unsure, or just for fun, talking to people who know you well will help you discern some of these things. Like, Linda, you see that is Frank's type, and right away you're like, yeah, that's him. Like, our loved ones sometimes know us better than ourselves, depending on what we're talking about. So please talk to people. And like I said, we would have the small group time normally. So I'll give it to everybody. If you want to get together, folks, and use Zoom or phone call or chat, whatever, to talk about stuff, please do. That'd be really neat. Or if it's just folks that are in your house with you as you are in social isolation, that works as well. The questions would be, of course, now putting it together, what are the things then that you are passionate about? What fires you up? And I'm talking, yeah, sure, the tool is more for jobs, but I'm talking rest. I'm talking um, how you interact with God and the church, how you remember the community, how you are part of your family. All these letters are going to be part of that. I also think that whatever that goal was, remember that first 2 weeks ago, that first week when I asked you, what is it you wanted to get out of it? This whole process. This is when you kind of can start to connect that in. Okay, if you wanted to get out of this way to recharge, how do my passions that I've identified can help me recharge? What are some ways that I can recharge that fit these categories, so to speak? And it's not going to be a perfect process. It's going to take some experimentation. Maybe you try some new things. Heaven forbid, Lutherans, you try something new, and oh my goodness, I love this. Just a thought. Anyway, I think that's everything on that. Are there any questions on the RIASEC tool? Now I will take them while you're thinking and typing, perhaps. The back of the tool did have some other information I didn't get to because we'd be here all night. But this is some examples of pathways you could take. I also, like I said, to go through everyone's type would take a very long time. But again, just like with the Myers-Briggs, if you Google, say, we'll say Linda with her SCI. If you Google SCI RIASEC, or Holland's tool is probably the more common name for it. Either way, Holland's code SCI, all kinds of articles come up. And again, I'll be sending you a bundle of goodies as well on Realm and Facebook. But yes, now I'm not seeing any questions. So I think that's good. Okay, so for next time then, we are going to be doing the spiritual gift inventory as our final tool. Now, before I get into this one too much, with all three of these as we go, hopefully you're getting more time as social isolation is starting to take hold in our nation. You're getting more time, so you'll have plenty of time to discern. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm hoping you can use all three. Don't get rid of any of these tools. That you can use the Myers-Briggs, you can use the passions, here we go, it's a good example. Rhiannon asking, how can I be an introvert and be social? So introversion, of course, was from the Myers-Briggs, and social from the RIASEC here. Very simple, actually. It's just one of those, on paper, introvert and social seems like opposites. However, social means you just like working with people, you like solving social problems. As an introvert, you will do those things that you find passionate, that you find fulfilling in small group settings. So, for example, a common combination of an introvert and social would be counseling. You meet with people one-on-one. You're helping them work through the social issues. You're helping them find guidance and wholeness. A lot of pastors are actually introvert and social. That's actually probably the most common combo among pastors. Again, same kind of thing. You're helping people a lot of times in smaller groups. So, and again, this is a great example, Rhiannon. This is a great example of how the tools now are working together to paint a bigger picture. Like on one hand, yes, you're an introvert. On one hand, yes, you like working with people. And then together, okay, how do I work with people as an introvert? That's what I find fulfilling. This is the $1 million question we're after here, right? So, because if you were to work with people, but it's in a large group setting, you wouldn't find it fulfilling. You'd probably find it somewhat draining. I mean, it would be somewhat fulfilling because you're passionate about it, but it's in a setting that would drain you. Versus we put you in the optimal situation to help people in a smaller setting. Perfect. That is more how God has created you. So that's what we're after. Those kind of combos. So please be looking at all of them. That's very exciting. That was very itchy. Okay, here we go. So any other questions? Keep typing away, please. So for spiritual gift inventory, and of course with questions, if you discerning about this, reading over stuff later, seeing some of the stuff I send you, and you say, I don't get this, I need to talk to pastor, I'm only a phone call away, or a Zoom. We can Zoom. We can talk to each other and see each other. That'd be kind of nice. One Zoom away or a text away, whatever. Let me know. So the spiritual gifts inventory tool, which will be in my bundle of goodies for you. This is, race for it, the most complicated to take. But it's not hard.
It's not that hard.
It's not hard. None of them are hard. But I want a dramatic moment. Okay, so there's 75 questions, but instead of being an either or check the box or not, you actually have to do a scale. So, for example, let's do number 2 because it's really short. I express myself through artistic means, okay? So then you go over and you'd say, I express myself through artistic means. Is that very true of me? Frequently true of me? Sometimes true of me? Infrequently true of me? Or rarely true of me? Again, like all these tools, don't agonize over this. Pick the one that comes to you first. You're like, yeah, that one. Okay? For me, it would be infrequently. Boom. Move the next one. This is it's gonna be okay, Linda. It's gonna be okay. Now, okay, that's it. You just got to do that for all the questions. Then you will follow the instructions on the scoring grid. Okay. Now you will get certain questions will correlate with each other. For example, questions. Well, I won't give away numbers there, but there's 3 questions for each gift, and so you will total those 3 questions. They'll tell you what they are, but I want to tell you ahead of time so you might take your results, and then you will have a total for that gift. Now you can, it's this big old chart here, you can, there we go, you can color. So for example, this person scored, oh my gosh, I'm not used to mirror mode here, scored a 9 on administration, a 1 on discernment, could make this a little difficult, a 3 on evangelism, and you see how that keeps going, okay, 7 on encouragement. So for these, you can draw, if you so wish, with the, like they've done, shading it in, looks pretty. Maybe perhaps if you're an A, artistic, you'll enjoy that, maybe different colors. If you're more of a C, perhaps, you're just going to write a number to, more detail. I leave that up to you. Do this as the results as best speak to you. If drawing them and color coding them work for you, you do that. If just shading them, not color coded, works for you, just see the pattern, you do that. If circling and writing a number works for you, you do that. Whatever best speaks to you. They also have this cluster thing. You don't have to do that. I mean, again, unless you're like, yes, that is me, then go for it. But I wouldn't worry about it. Anyway, that usually confuses people. So, for the gifts you will find, you're most likely going to have gifts in 3 different tiers, and we'll talk about them more in depth next week. But there'll be some, it's like, wow, I scored really high on those. Those are clearly my top gifts, so things I'm very gifted in. Then there will be what I call the not Jesus gifts. Or I'm not Jesus gift, and that, wow, I'm not gifted in that in any way. Okay, so I'm not gifted at everything. That's okay. Only Jesus is. Those will probably be very low, if it maybe perhaps 0. That's okay. Great. We know that you're not gifted in that way. That's part of our discernment as well. And then there'll be some that are kind of in the middle. Those are our developing gifts. Those are gifts that you have, but need to be honed a little bit to come to fruition. I kind of compare gifts like a toolbox. That you got some tools you go to right away on projects, some that you may not be as familiar with, and then some you're like, no, I never use those. Those are gifts. But more on that next week. So this tool should be they have pretty good instructions. But again, if you do have any questions for me on this, let me know. So that will all get sent out right after we're done here. Last chance, any questions on anything? I know that was a lot. But this is, again, I hope this is our springboard for discernment, that it's the start and you can use this to discern further on your own. And as you do that, I'm confident this will make more sense. I hear that I've done this a couple times now, and right about now, people are like, but in come the last week, things start to fall in peace. And even after Lent, you can discern besides Lent, believe it or not. Even after Lent, things start to come together. You're doing things like, oh my gosh, that's because I'm a blah 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 Myers-Briggs type, and I'm using my blah 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 gifts. Anyway, you'll see. All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Okay. Well, then with that, we will go to our time of prayer. So I will ask that you join me in a word of prayer. Holy God, we thank you for filling us with passions in our life and for the joy and fulfillment they provide us. Please help us to be creative and use what we enjoy for your glory. We ask that you continue to guide us in seeking what is our original and unique life callings. Today we lift before you in the silence of our hearts, out loud or in the chat, the following things we're praying for. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. May God, who has called us forth from the dust of the earth and claimed you as children of light, strengthen you in your journey into life renewed. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord's face shine on you with grace and mercy. The Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, go in peace and serve the mission of Christ.
Thanks be to God.
And like I said, any questions you have and or any insights, I like to hear too. If you realize come Saturday you're doing something with the grandkids and you realize, oh my gosh, this is my passion type. This is great. Or I'm discovering that I'm trying this out in isolation and I'm figuring out, hey, I really like this. Like, yeah, please share. This is exciting. Share with the group. I mean, come on, this is great. But yeah. So have a blessed night, and I'll be in touch with you again very shortly.